The trade war between the US and Canada is escalating, with both sides imposing tariffs on each other's goods. The US has imposed a 25% tariff on Canadian steel and aluminum, as well as a 10% tariff on Canadian energy imports. In response, Canada has imposed a 25% tariff on $30 billion worth of US imports and plans to impose additional tariffs on a further $125 billion in US imports. These tariffs are part of a broader trade dispute between the two countries, which has been ongoing since the USMCA was implemented in July 2020. The USMCA replaced NAFTA and was meant to provide a framework for trade between the US, Canada, and Mexico. However, the agreement has been subject to ongoing disputes and renegotiations, with the US seeking to strengthen its trade position and Canada seeking to protect its interests. Hello, my fellow viewers. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, this is the time to do so right now. Subscribe now, and we'll do our best to bring you more videos on subjects that matter to you. Current state of trade negotiations. Despite the escalating tariffs, there are indications that both sides are willing to negotiate. Prime Minister Mark Carney has indicated that intensive discussions are underway between the two nations, with Canadian officials making multiple diplomatic visits to Washington in recent weeks. However, the US has also imposed a 35% tariff on all Canadian goods not covered by the USMCA, citing Canada's support for Palestinian statehood as a reason for the tariff. Implications of the trade war. The trade war between the US and Canada has significant implications for both countries' economies. Agriculture. The US agriculture sector is particularly vulnerable as it relies heavily on exports to Canada. The tariffs imposed by Canada on US agricultural products, such as dairy and poultry, could lead to a decline in US exports and harm the US agriculture industry. Manufacturing. The USMCA includes provisions for the automotive industry, which could be impacted by the trade war. The agreement requires a certain percentage of auto parts to be made in North America, which could lead to increased costs for US automakers. Economic growth. The trade war could also have broader economic implications, including reduced economic growth and increased prices for consumers. The US and Canada are each other's largest trading partners, and a prolonged trade war could lead to significant economic losses for both countries. Industry leaders and analysts are closely watching the developments in the US-Canada trade war, with some expressing concerns about the potential impact on the economy and specific industries. Lana Payne, Unifor president, warned that these tariffs aren't just numbers on paper. They represent real consequences for workers, communities, and businesses on both sides of the border. Brad Lubin, a University of Nebraska-Lincoln agricultural economics professor, observed that the trade war could lead to a shift in global supply chains as countries like Brazil and Argentina may increase their exports to China to fill the demand previously met by US farmers. Implications of retaliatory tariffs. The Peterson Institute for International Economics suggests that tariffs can lead to higher consumer prices and reduced economic growth, even for the imposing country. A study by the USDA Economic Research Service found that the 2018 to 2019 retaliatory tariffs imposed by Canada and China on US agricultural products resulted in losses of $13.2 billion for Midwestern US states. Impact on the translation industry. Tariffs on imported goods may lead to increased costs for translation services, as agencies may need to absorb higher prices for materials and supplies. The uncertainty surrounding the trade war may lead to reduced demand for translation services, as businesses may be hesitant to invest in marketing and communication efforts during times of economic instability. The trade war may also disrupt global supply chains, leading to delays and increased costs for translation services that rely on international partnerships and collaborations. Navigating the period of uncertainty. Languages Unlimited should focus on maintaining strong relationships with existing clients, while also exploring new markets and opportunities for growth. The agency should prioritize transparent communication with clients, ensuring that they are aware of any potential impacts on translation services and can plan accordingly. Languages Unlimited may also consider diversifying its services, such as offering specialized translation services for industries less affected by the trade war, or investing in technology to improve efficiency and reduce costs. While there is no direct information from industry insiders about how the US-Canada trade war will impact the translation industry, there is information about how to manage uncertainty in the translation business. One expert notes that businesses that invest in translation are 1.5 times more likely to see an increase in revenue. Another industry insider notes that localized social media content creation increased organic performance by 2,500%. Industry statistics reveal a bright future for translation companies, with the global market for language services estimated to be worth $60.68 billion in 2022 and expected to grow 5.94% to reach USD 96.21 billion by the end of 2032. And you? What do you think about this trade war between Canada and the United States? Do you believe it will have a positive or negative impact on both countries? Leave your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to give a like, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss any videos. See you next time.